Shalom, when the self source by giving no praise to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahshua, Ba'ashem Kal Kadash. Double honors to the Apostle of Great Most High, and honors to you brothers doing the work of the Most High in truth and in sincerity. Yahweh's real name, with whom the world English calls God, Jehovah Yahweh. His real name is Yahweh, and his on-street name is Yahweh Shai. And when we pray Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahshua, meaning in, meaning that, and Sham, meaning names, Yahweh, in the name of Yahweh Shai. Real quick, this, I was just thinking earlier on, just having some thoughts, and the thought that came to mind was just F you heathens, man. Right? We can't wait till the Lord gives us power over you heathens, man. This is Revelation 2:26. It says, "And he that overcometh and keepeth my works to the end, to him will I give power over the nations, and he shall rule them with a rod of iron. As the vessels of a potter shall they be broken to shivers, even as I received on my Father." So basically, the Lord is going to give us power over our enemies, right? Because this is the thing, right? The Lord made this world for our sakes, right? But right now we've got a bunch of heathens that are in positions of authority over us. Let me read this, 2 Ezra 6:54. Right, it says, "And after these, Adam also, whom thou madest Lord of all thy creatures. Of him come we all, and the people whom thou hast chosen." Right, because the Lord has a chosen people. Right, God only loves Israel. It's Deuteronomy 7:6. Just pick some of these at random. Right. Let's see what we can glean, right? Deuteronomy 7:6. "For thou art an holy people unto Yahweh thy power, and Yahweh thy power hath chosen thee to be a special people unto himself, above all people that are upon the face of the earth." So we're above these different nations, right? But right now the Lord has got us in a lower state, such that we have heathens ruling up over us, and the way of the world is topsy-turvy, right? It says, it's not Ecclesiastes 10, is it 7 that I want? Yeah, Ecclesiastes 10:7, it says, "I've seen servants upon horses and princes walking as servants upon the earth." And that's the position that we're in at the moment, right? The Lord has brought us low, right? And as such, right, these heathen nations have lorded over us, right? And and that's one of the reasons they perpetuate Jake in the lower state, because when they understand that when we're in our right mind, right, that basically that the Lord is with us and they ain't got no play. It says Lamentations 4, before we jump over to Judith, right? Lamentations 4:1. "How is the gold become dim? How is the most fine gold changed? The stones of the sanctuary are poured out in the top of every street." And that's us as a nation. We've become dim, right? We've become through, right? But the Lord is going to wash us up, right? That's a part of the story as well, because this is all for basically magnifying the name of the Lord. It goes on to say, "The precious sons of Zion, comparable to fine gold, how are they esteemed as earthen pitchers, the work of the hands of the potter." Then also I'll get this from Isaiah 1, and I believe there's more into it. Let me just look. Just bear with me. It is 20 that I want, actually. This is Isaiah 1 from, not 21. It says, "How was the faithful city become an harlot? It was full of judgment, righteousness lodged in it, but now murderers. The silver is become dross, thy wine mixed with water. Thy princes are rebellious, and the companions of thieves. Everyone loveth gifts, and followeth after rewards. They judge not the fatherless, neither doth the cause of the widow come unto them. Therefore thus saith the Lord, the Yahweh of hosts, the mighty one of Israel, I will ease me of mine adversaries and avenge me of mine enemies." All right, and when looking at these first couple of verses, right, basically reiterating the same point, that as a nation we became low, right? As a nation, the Lord brought us right down, right? But that's just part of the story. Okay, so it goes on to say, "Thy silver is become dross." It's like verse 26 now, right? It says 25. It says, "I will turn my hand upon thee and purely purge away thy dross and take away all thy tin," right? "And I will restore thy judges as at the first, and thy counselors as at the beginning. After thou shalt be called the city of righteousness, the faithful city. Zion shall be redeemed with judgment, and her converts with righteousness. So, what right now we're in this lower states. These different heathens, they look down on Jake, right? And they think, they think that the Lord is with them. Right, what's that one? It's Psalms 50, I believe. Right, Psalms 50 and 21 says, "These things hast thou done, and I kept silence. Thou thoughtest that I was altogether such an one as thyself, but I'll reprove thee and set them in order before thine eyes." Right. That's what you're seeing happening all over the world, right? The Lord is basically, waking up his elect, right? And, magnifying his name through the earth. And these heathens are getting worried, right? But going back to the topic, right? F you heathens, man, right? These heathens primarily starting off with these Edomites, right? F all of you, man, right? The Lord is going to give us power over you, right? Because it is written. Right now, you've been enjoying having Jake in this lower state, despite the fact that we're the Lord's chosen, which we still got them precepts that we opened up a little earlier on, right? This is Judith 5. I'll just jump straight to the point. In 17 it says, "Whilst they sinned not before their power, they prospered, because the Most High that hateth iniquity was with them. But when they departed from the way which he appointed them, they were destroyed in many battles very sore, and were led captives into a land that was not theirs. And their temple of their power was cast to the ground, and their cities were taken by the enemies. But now are they returned to their power, and are come up from the places where they were scattered, and have possessed Jerusalem, where their sanctuary is, and are seated in the hill country, for it was desolate." Okay, and we'll just read verse 20. "So now therefore, my Lord and Governor, if there be any error against this people, and they sin against their power, let us consider that this shall be their ruin, and let us go up, and we shall overcome them. But if there be no iniquity in their nation, let my Lord now pass by, lest their Lord defend them, and their God before them, and we become a reproach before all the world." And these heathens know this, right? Esau knows this, which is why he pushes what it is that he pushes, all over the, in the entertainment industries. Habakkuk 2 and 15 says, "Woe unto him that giveth his neighbor drink," right? And that drink represents philosophies. Okay, it says, "That puttest thy bottle to him, and makes them drunken also, that they may also look on their nakedness," right? So basically, Esau gives this wine to Jake, and then goes and accuses Jake to the Most High, right? Scriptures refer to the accuser of thy brethren, right? But guess what? It's cast down, right? Because he knows keeping Jake in this, lower state, in this wickedness, right? Basically, the Lord is going to be angry. But what he doesn't account for, right, is that the Lord has a remnant who basically unto whom he imparteth not iniquity. Says Psalms 32, says, "Blessed is he whose transgression is forgiven, whose sin is covered. Blessed is the man unto whom Yahweh imputeth not iniquity, and in whose spirit there is no guile." And oh man, we hope to be of this number, right? Because the scripture says all have sinned and come short of the glory of the Most High, right? But when that's the point, we just hope that we be, of the elect. Okay, so we read that. So let's get back into some of these precepts, right? As Deuteronomy 4 from verse 5 says, "Behold, I have taught you statutes and judgment, even as how my power commanded me, that ye should do so in the land whither ye go to possess it. Keep therefore and do them, for this is your wisdom and your understanding in the sight of the nations, which shall hear all these statutes and say, surely this great nation is a wise and understanding people." Right? "For what nation is so great, who hath the Most High so nigh unto them, as the Lord Yahweh our power is in all things that we call upon him for? And what nation is there so great, right, that hath statutes and judgments so righteous as all this law which is set before you this day?" Right? And that nation is Israel. And only Israel, because the Lord is only dealing with Israel. We read, in fact, we'd even finish 2 Ezra 6 and 54. Right? We, kind of went down this, this segue, right, through the Spirit, right? It says, Psalms 148 and 14 also, he says, in fact, let's read this, and 13, right? It says, "Let them praise the name of Yahweh, for his name alone is excellent. His glory is above the earth and heaven." All right? It says he also exalted the horn of his people, the praise of all his saints, right? Even of the children of Israel, a people near unto him, praise ye Yahweh, right? So we just lucky that we Israel, right? This is just how the the Lord designed the story, right? And we happen to be of the royal seed, as the unrighteousness of the Most High, God forbid, right? Once again, we just happen to be Israel, right? So let's continue on. So this is now Isaiah 14:1 says, "For Yahweh will have mercy on Jacob and will yet choose Israel." Right? Because you get it. When you're looking at Jake and the estate that we're in at the moment, you may be like, hey, what does it say in Wisdom 5? Right? His end to be without honor. Well, that's what these heathen nations genuinely think, but that is not the case. Right? The Lord is with us. Right? He has a remnant that he's basically going to he's going to basically that's the word I'm looking for. He's basically going to save, right? And there's nothing, no story, no nothing that he can push that's going to change that. Okay, and the last one is Baruch 2:35, saying, "I'll also make an everlasting covenant with them to be their God, their power. It says, and they shall be my people, and I'll no more drive my people of Israel out of the land that I've given them." Right? And these heathen nations, they ain't ever gonna come back up against us, right? And they're gonna maintain their position, which is beneath, right? Which we're gonna once again read back. So back in 2nd Ezra 6:54 says, "And after these Adam also, whom thou madest Lord of all thy creatures, of him come we all, and the people also whom thou hast chosen. All this have I spoken before thee, O Lord, because thou madest the world for our sakes." Right. So the world is made for our sakes, which as the I know the elders from Dallas say this every now and then. But this idea of that's why we feel away, right, when we see certain of the things that are happening in the world, right? Because we, if we be of the elect, right, we will have been the ones that were, what one was made for us, right? But when you have the understanding of Genesis, right, the first chapter, you understand that the elect were there helping Yahushua, make these things, okay? It says, "As for the other people, which also come of Adam, thou hast said that they are nothing, but be like unto spittle, and is like in the abundance of them unto a drop that falleth from a vessel." We read that also in Isaiah 40:15, I believe. It says, "And now, O Lord, behold these heathen, which have ever been reputed as nothing." And that's it, right? And that's one of the things that, part of the bitterness of these scriptures, right, is you understand when you're out and about that you're dealing with heathens. You understand that, right? But in this world, they've got power, they've got a position over you. Let me put it like that. Right, they've got position over you. Okay, it says, "have begun to be lords over us and to devour us." And as we read, in or we didn't read, but scriptures say about how the Lord has basically set up over the earth, right, rulership over the earth, the basis of men, right? And you be around. I just got done working, for Amalek, and man, I'll be observing some of them, and I'm like, yo, how are you this incompetent? Right? But those are the high IQ individuals, right? That those are supposed to be the sons of the Most High, right? No, those are some damn heathens, man, the basest of men. Okay, it says so continuing on, so, "But we thy people, whom thou hast called thy firstborn, thy only begotten, and thy fervent lover, are given into their hands," right? But not for too much longer, right? We read Revelation 2:26. Right, the Lord is going to right this wrong that is in the earth, right, and set up, rulership over the earth. And I won't get it. I'll just grab it real quick. Right, so Sirach 10:4, right, it says, "the power of the earth is in the hand of the Lord." Right, Esau forgets this. Esau thinks that he's in this position by his own thing, by forget where this is exactly. Isaiah 10:13, "For he saith, by the strength of my hand I have done it, and by my wisdom, for I am prudent, and I have removed the bounds of the people, and have robbed their treasures, and I have put down the inhabitants like a valiant man." Well, it's like, no, the Most High gave you the power. As we're reading here, Sirach 10:4, "The power of the earth is in the hand of the Lord." Now, the Lord is the one that sanctioned it, but also, what does it say here as well in Job? right? It says Job, ooh, Slovakia. Is it, I think it's 14, is it? Yeah, Job 14 and 5, right? Seeing his days are determined, the number of his months are with thee. Thou hast appointed his bounds that he cannot pass. So the Lord is basically giving E, right, boundaries, right? And E's going to think he can do this and he can do that, but that is not so, right? The Lord is basically going to, you know, disallow Esau, right, from being able to go past well, the scripture says it that, right? The Lord has set his bounds, right? So the Lord's the one that set him up, and there's a set point, right? You know, where Esau's no longer going to be in rulership, right? And that's why it says the power of the earth is in the hand of the Lord. In the due time, will set over it one that is profitable. And the only ones that's profitable is the Israelites in their right state of mind, right? With a heart of flesh, okay? Because, you know, when you look at what these heathens are doing and have been doing to this earth, the Lord all gave them a chance, right? And they all proved themselves unworthy, especially the Edomite, right? You know, and so let's read this, right? It says Psalms 83, right, from 2. So it says, for lo, thine enemies make a tumult, and they that hate thee have lifted up the head, right? And all these different heathen nations are our enemies, which is why, once again, they lord over us, right, in this world. Right, they look down on us, but these times there'll be hella defect. I mean, Edomite looks down on Jade, but this time, this Edomite can't even go in the sun. Moab looks on down on Jake, but like you see how they walk. They got that weird, dodgy walk, right? Elam, oh man, Elam just be stinking up the whole damn place, man. Right? Ishmael not really around Ishmael, so I can't really be like, yeah, Ishmael's like this, but there's some proud ass people too, right? Nasty ass, right? Or you hear the stories of what their sheikhs do, be just defecating on people and stuff like that, right? Freaky dudes, right? But then they'll look down on Jake. Verse 3 says, they have taken crafty counsel against our people and consulted against our hidden ones. They have said, come, and let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance. For they have consulted together with one consent. They're confederate against thee, right? So all these heathen nations, they're confederate against us. The only time they'll bring up, the plight of the children of Israel, right, is when it fits their agenda, right? Like what was that old Iranian president or prime minister? I forget exactly how their structure is, right? Ahmadinejad, I think it was, right? And then he wants to talk about plight of the they say African American, basically the plight of Judah, right? Which these are things that are worth mentioning, right? But it's like, yo, these people only ever want to mention Jake when it suits them, okay? And it goes on to say, Psalms 83 and 6 now says, the tabernacles of Edom and the Ishmaelites of Moab and the Hagarenes, Gebal and Ammon and Amalek, man, you Amalekites, man, right? Them small hats, right? The Lord is gonna give us power over you, right? In fact, we'll jump over to that, right, and then we can close that out, right? This is Ezekiel 25 from 12, right? It says, thus saith the Lord power, because that Edom hath dealt against the house of Judah by taking vengeance, and hath greatly offended and revenged himself upon them. Therefore thus saith the Lord power, I will also stretch out mine hand upon Edom, and I'll cut off man and beast from it, and I'll make it desolate from Teman, and they of Dedan shall fall by the sword, right? And I'll lay, it says, and I will lay my vengeance upon Edom by the hand of my people Israel, and they shall do in Edom according to mine anger, and according to my fury, and they shall know my vengeance, saith the Lord power, right? Because contrary to the beliefs of this world, the Lord is all about revenge, right? The Lord is all about revenge. We just have to wait for him to, to give the okay, if you will, right? The Lord's just been in the heavens watching what these Edomites have been doing to the children of Israel, right, to the rest of the heathen, right, which is why when you read Isaiah, it speaks about how the heathen are going to basically look down on you too, right? Because the heathen, they gonna get it, but Esau, you gonna get it. You gonna get it, man. Right, so yeah, this concludes the lesson, man. Laws with us edifying, you know, and, you know, F all you heathens, man, right? You can't wait till the Lord gives us power over you, right? To put you right, you know, to put you back in your place, right? Which is beneath. So as always, Lord, that was edifying. Till next time we say, Shalom.